The Panthers falling 27-22 at the Arizona Cardinals on Sunday to start the season 0-2. Hate this cliche, but it was a tale of two halves. However, the story remains the same. Another loss for the Carolina Panthers. We will now bring in Julian Council from Locked On Panthers. Julian, they say it's not how you start, it's how you finish. But, I mean, sometimes it is how you start, right?
Absolutely, and that was the case today for the Carolina Panthers as they had a disastrous start. You looked at last week, and the turnovers clearly were what put them behind the eight ball, and then again today in Arizona immediately. The strip sack fumble that was returned for a touchdown, the interception on the second drive. Carolina cannot continue to spot their opponents 10 points each and every week like they have last week against Jacksonville and today against Arizona. But you do like their response, but it's a 60-minute game. And we saw how those first 35 in particular, the first 5 or so, really doomed them today in Arizona. But the hope is that what they did at the end can potentially carry on to Atlanta and the rest of the final 15 games of the season.
And perhaps it does, Julian, but how do you diagnose the starts to these two games in Jacksonville and at Arizona? The quarterback play is bad.
Yeah.
The defense is bad. The coaching isn't great either. Where does it lie?
It's the turnovers. I mean, that's what Dave Canales came out and said, because when he was asked that question, and that's the guy we want to know who could answer it, because for whatever reason, looking at this year at Jacksonville, this Sunday at Arizona, even going back to last year, week 1 and week 2 against the Saints and against the Chargers, his team has not looked prepared to play football. Now, the difference is it didn't take them 8 quarters like it did last year. It took them 6 quarters, and then they finally turned it on. So I don't know what the disconnect is. I know a lot of fans are going to point to the preseason and say they don't play enough in the preseason, and I hate to tell them this, but Dave Canales has said it. Brad Idzik said even last week when he was asked about it, they value joint practice. They are not ever going to play their starters to a significant amount of time in the preseason or to the liking of Panther fans based off of how they've started the last 2 seasons. So I don't understand what the disconnect is, but if you turn the ball over, especially like they did in the first 2 drives of today, it's hard to win games in the NFL. And we saw that play out this afternoon. Even if they had a near miraculous comeback, it just puts them behind too much. So the starts, I don't know what it is. I don't know what's not carrying over, but certainly the turnovers are mostly to blame.
All right, there's no moral victories. You said as much. Dave Canales said as much. Some people are encouraged by the second half and 19 unanswered points. Some people are saying, well, the Cardinals just kind of gave that away. Where do you land there? Are there things that you take from this and think they can carry this over to next week's game against Atlanta at home?
Yeah, when it was them scoring to get within 18, for me, okay, it's garbage time, whatever. When they scored again, I'm like, okay, it's still garbage time. Kind of what is Arizona doing? Then when they scored the next time, I was like, okay, actually, maybe there's something to it. But you have to look at the secondary for the Cardinals. They lost multiple guys in that game, so they were dropping like flies. That probably did not allow them to try to disguise coverages, and send some of the blitzes they sent earlier on in the game. So that was something that was pointed out throughout the game broadcast by Adam Archuleta, and I think rightfully so. But you have to be encouraged by the fact that Tedero McMillan looks like a guy for you. And I had big expectations for him coming into the season. I looked at what Roma Dunze, Malik Neighbors, and Marvin Harrison Jr., all top 10 guys from a year ago, did as rookies, and that was my expectation for McMillan. And he certainly is living up to that with a 100-yard receiving day. You have to be excited about what Hunter Renfrow did with the 2 touchdowns he had in this game. So a great story for him, and even Bryce and Tremaine. So and of course, Bryce Young. He looked like the Bryce Young you saw at the end of last season in the second half. So certainly I think a bit of it was Arizona playing lax, but also I think it's a little bit of it was the injuries. But then Carolina just woke up and played to the standard that they are able to play at certain points in times that just took too long to do. So, yeah, I am encouraged, and I think that it's a possibility can carry over to next week. But we got to wait and see, because for me, they got to show me before I really start believing in anything with this team.
Speaking of wait and see, that was the approach for this team with Bryce Young in terms of him being their franchise quarterback. Are you still waiting, and what are you seeing in 2 weeks?
Oh, yeah, I'm still waiting. He's turned the ball over 5 times, Nick. So, that is not sustainable. He cannot. And when you look at the turnovers, the 2 of them last week against Jacksonville led to 10 points. The last one, it was inconsequential. The game was already over. 2 of them today led to 10 points. Now, the last one, the interception, I think every quarterback in the league is throwing that interception because he got leveled on that play. So that had more to do with him getting hit on the throw than a bad decision by him to throw the football in the first place. But you cannot live with those turnovers. If your quarterback is turning the ball over 2-3 times every week, he's not going to be your quarterback long term. Now, if he plays the way he played in the second half, then yeah, you have something there. The problem with Bryce is you have the turnovers, but you also have the capability of what he showed in the second half, especially throwing for 328 yards in this game. So you know what the bad is and what the good is. Just can you get some consistency and get away from the bad? So I am still very much in wait and see mode. And the good thing is we have 15 more games. But if they carry out the way they've carried out so far this season, yeah, it's going to be a pretty tough decision for Carolina to make, because you have a guy who's capable of throwing for 200 yards multiple weeks, but then also is giving away the ball 2-3 times. Hard to really figure out what you're going to do there. Most likely, you probably move on.
All right, the defense, they get beat badly on the end-of-half touchdown, but in the second half, they allow 7 points. And a team that needed a run to salt the game away in Arizona, they only got 82 yards on the ground after 7 straight 200-yard rushing games allowed by this defense. Are you encouraged by any of that?
Oh, yeah, I give them a lot of credit. And the 10 points that they didn't give up the touchdown to begin the game. That was solely on the offense. And then the field goal they gave up after the interception, it was a tough DPI call on Mike Jackson, the correct call, but an underthrown ball. And that always gets rewarded, which I hate to see at any level of football, especially on Sundays in the NFL. But then and to be able to hold them to a field goal, that kind of was able to pull the momentum a little bit back to Carolina's side. I thought that they played well overall. And yes, you're right, not giving up 200 yards on the ground. The bar was very low for them to not do that. But certainly you're happy that they finally were able to show that ability, and that they did, for the most part, pitch a shutout when they needed to at the end of that game after that opening drive touchdown in the second half. So, yeah, I look at the defense, and I think that they took a step forward to what the hope that they could be this season. But we got to see it again next week against a Falcons team that is going to provide a lot as far as rushing the football, to see how far they really have come after last week not looking so great against the run, than this week looking so much better. And I do wonder, the Cardinals' game plan, did things change considering that they got off to a 7-0 start before they even had touched the ball?
Julian, Xavier Legette loves horses. He put up a unicorn of a stat line for a wide receiver. 8 targets, -2 yards. What is going on with XL?
I just think this is who he is, man. I think he can be better, but I was never a believer in Xavier Legette as coming in here and being a difference maker for the Panthers. Last year when they took him 32nd overall, moving up, my first reaction was, why are you trading up to go get that guy? You could have just waited. And people are like, oh, you get the 5th-year option, and look what he did last year at South Carolina. He's not going to have 5 years. And I said this from the very beginning. He's not going to have 5 years to have the kind of season he had as last year in Columbia. And he has been through a lot of heartache, and he's fought his way to get here. And I certainly applaud him for making it to the NFL and being in a position that he is in. But he was never a number 1 wide receiver. I felt like Take McMillan was the best thing that happened to him. But right now, he is not earning his spot to play. Bryson Tremaine has taken his spot, in my opinion. When Jalen Coker comes in, he will be ahead of him. Hunter Renfrow as well. And obviously, Tedder McMillan is the number 1 guy. To me, there's no reason to play Xavier Legette at this point in time. Last week, can't get his foot down, which is unacceptable. He decides to not block. And then today, he's not an additive. He's a negative for this team. So I have never believed that he was going to be a great player for Carolina or ever a number 1 receiver. And right now, I even question, can he even help them in their top 3? Because if you can't help out, then what role are you really going to play here in Carolina? So he has to look in the mirror long and hard about what kind of football player he wants to be. We love the personality, everything he is off the field. But what really matters to people and to this organization is what you do on Sundays. And what he's doing on Sundays is not looking good enough. And people are going to start using the B word. I would never use that because I never had those expectations for him in the first place. But when you're taken in the first round, whether it be 1st overall, 32nd overall, there are expectations, and he is not living up to those. And I doubt he ever will, quite honestly.
Any confidence in the Panthers getting off to a better start, just considering they are home Sunday? Can you draw anything from being at the bank?
No, I cannot say I'm confident they will get out to a better start based off of how they've started the last 2 games. So we'll see. But I'm not going to sit here and put my neck out and say, yeah, they're going to get out to a good start. It's nice to be back home. They certainly do not play well on the road. We have seen that. So they're going to need to hold serve next Sunday against Atlanta. But I'm not betting on a strong start for Carolina.
My entire conversation with Julian Council up right now on WCNC Plus. Julian, you bring the goods, and he's going to do it again all week leading up to the Falcons game on Locked On Panthers.